Austin Watkins Sr., Taylor Yellowboy, Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Ron DeBrey,
Oh.
James Cross, Ella John Carlo,
Yes.
George Deemer Jr.,
Yes.
Julian Spotted Bear, yes, Richard Ironclad, David Poyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Michael Carlo Sr., Bernardo Rodriguez Jr., Garfield Still, Garfield Still,
Yes. Doing big can stuff.
Craig Dillon,
Yes. Okay, 17-4, two not voting. Thank you, council. That motion passes. So we're back to, there's a motion to approve what Councilman Carlo read. Is there a second? Second by, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's been seconded by Councilman Spotted. Any discussion on what Councilman read? I'm sorry, Chairman read? Sorry. Hearing none or seeing none, Secretary will call vote, please. Thank you.
Wesley Hopkins Sr.,
Oh.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Ryan Jumping Eagle Sr.,
Yes.
Gerald Canario Jr., Austin Watkins Sr., Taylor Yellowboy,
Yes.
Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Ron DeBrey,
Oh.
Ella John Carlo,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr., George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Julian Spotted Bear, Richard Ironclad, David Poyer,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Michael Carlo Sr., Bernardo Rodriguez, Garfield Still,
Yep.
Craig Dillon,
Yes. Okay, thank you. 17-4, two not voting. Thank you, council. Next item, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman and Secretary, is Stephen Jennifer on it?
Jennifer's on. They're both on. Yeah, they are.
Okay, I know this had executive session, but because they were on another item that they couldn't be on when we did that, their request before we do the Golden West resolution is that we go into executive session. So I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Chairman Carlo. I don't know that we're requesting executive, but we are recommending that if you, the council, want to discuss the issue, that you do it in executive. So that there's enough support for the resolution to read it and vote on it without discussion, then we may not need executive session. That's up to you.
I believe that we do have enough support. And like I said earlier, we just read a resolution from the land committee and there was very little of any debate on that issue. So I think to do the same with the telecommunications one. Steve, if you want to go ahead and read it, so I can make sure that all the changes are on the resolution that you have.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to read it. I wonder if the secretary can read it, or or someone else?
And Secretary Vendor, she has it.
Okay, I'm happy to if the secretary.
Go ahead, Jennifer, you can read it.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Just thought I'd offer. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, an unincorporated tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizing the Executive Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe to enter into a telecommunications agreement with Golden West Telecommunication. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, in paren 25 U.S.C. Section 5123, end paren, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W of the Constitution authorize the Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, in paren tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, in parentheses, reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its membership. And whereas Golden West Telecommunications Cooperative, Inc., DBA, Golden West Telecommunications, in parentheses, Golden West, is a cooperative corporation formed and existing under the laws of the state of South Dakota, with its principal executive office in Wall, South Dakota, and an area office in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, on the reservation. And whereas Golden West has entered into consensual relationships with the tribe and its members through commercial dealings, contracts, and other arrangements to provide telecommunications services to the tribe and tribal members on the reservation. And whereas Golden West has informed the tribe that it would like to install fiber optic cable on the reservation as part of its fiber to the home project. And whereas the Tribal Council and Executive Committee have enacted several resolutions with respect to Golden West, including resolution number 21-28XB, May 6, 2021, resolution number 21-33XB, May 21, 2021, resolution number 21-186, August 18, 2021, resolution number 222, September 30, 2021, and resolution number 223, September 30th, 2021. And whereas these resolutions, or some of them, allow Golden West to perform specific limited work on the reservation, provided that Golden West complies with tribal law and obtains all required licenses, rights of way, and easements prior to the commencement of work. And whereas the tribe and Golden West have engaged in extensive negotiations to resolve remaining issues concerning Golden West's fiber to the home project, and the parties have reached an agreement in principle. And whereas on January 24, 2022, the Land Committee of the Tribal Council, by motion and vote, recommended that the Tribal Council enact this resolution to authorize the Executive Committee to finalize negotiations with Golden West and to enter into a telecommunications agreement with Golden West that meets the requirements set forth herein. Whereas, having considered the matter, the Tribal Council concurs with the recommendation of the Land Committee and finds that enactment of this resolution is in the best interests of the tribe and its members. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby authorizes and directs the Executive Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, with the assistance of legal counsel, to finalize negotiations with Golden West on all remaining issues concerning Golden West's fiber to the home project on the reservation, and to enter into a telecommunications agreement with Golden West, provided the agreement meets the requirements set forth herein. And be it further resolved that the telecommunications agreement between the tribe and Golden West shall provide that 1, provision of lit services on a long-term basis at discounted prices. A, Golden West will provide 10 gigabits per second, in parentheses GBPS, lit fiber optic services to the tribe through dedicated point-to-point circuits from the tribal headquarters in Pine Ridge to communities listed below, in parentheses at the times indicated. Little A, immediately, Martin, Oglala, Pine Ridge, Sweat, Tut Hill, and Vital. And two, little two, upon completion of fiber construction in 2022, Allen and Porcupine. And little three, upon completion of fiber construction in 2022 or 2023, Kyle and Red Shirt. And little four, upon completion of fiber construction in 2023, Rocky Ford and Sharps Corner. And five, upon completion of fiber construction in 2024, Heisel and Wambui. And little six, to be determined Batesland or a community near Batesland that is within the service area of Golden West. Golden West shall provide such services at a discounted rate not to exceed $350 per month. C, Golden West shall agree to provide such services for a long term, not less than 5 years, provided that the tribe can terminate the services at its election and without cost prior to the expiration of the 5-year term. D, Golden West shall provide such services to an endpoint in each community that is not more than 500 feet from an existing structure to which Golden West already provides service or an existing structure to which Golden West will provide service when Golden West's fiber to the home project is completed in each community, and the endpoints in Martin, Sweat, Tut Hill, and Vital shall be on trust land. 2, work shall be confined to the scope of valid rights of way and easements. Golden West represents that it has rights of way and easements for its proposed work on the reservation. All work by Golden West shall be confined to the scope of the existing rights of way and easements, and if any work is outside the scope of existing rights of way and easements, Golden West will secure new rights of way or easements from the landowners prior to commencement of work. Nothing in the agreement between the tribe and Golden West is intended or shall be construed to grant Golden West any authority Golden West does not already have under duly executed and approved rights of way, easements, or service line agreements. And it is the duty of Golden West to establish that it has such authority under duly executed and approved existing rights of way, easements, and service line agreements prior to the commencement of work. If it is determined that Golden West has engaged in work that is outside the scope of its existing rights of way and easements, the tribe reserves the right to impose civil fines on Golden West and to seek appropriate relief for trespass. Number 3, work shall be done in phases. A, Golden West proposed work on the reservation will be broken out into phases by communities, in parentheses, including adjacent rural areas, and discussions and reviews will then occur by each phase. B, Golden West shall provide OST information related to each phase of the project 6 months prior to commencement of a phase. This will allow the tribe and Golden West to review and discuss the next phase well in advance of the scheduled start date of that phase in order to keep the overall project moving forward and to avoid a full stop while review of the next phase is occurring. A, annual reviews will occur on the overall project. B, prior to commencement of each phase, the tribe, Golden West, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs shall review each phase to determine fees, if any, to be assessed to Golden West. Number 4, Golden West shall provide detailed maps to the tribe. Golden West shall provide the tribe with maps and data that show the location of the project at each phase prior to the commencement of each phase. Golden West shall provide the tribe with the same maps and data it submits twice a year to the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, to satisfy its Form 477 requirements, or maps and data with the same level of granularity as maps and data submitted to the FCC per the Form 477 requirements. Number 5, Golden West shall adhere to tribal law. Golden West shall adhere to the tribe's laws. This includes the tribe's laws on business licensing, contracts, torts, property, land use, historic preservation, taxation, employment, in parentheses, including taro, and all other applicable tribal laws. Be it further resolved, when it approves the telecommunications agreement between the tribe and Golden West, the executive committee shall authorize the tribal president to enter into the agreement on behalf of the tribe. Be it further resolved that when the telecommunications agreement is finalized and executed by the tribe in Golden West, the tribe will lift any stop work orders and resolutions number 21-28XB, May 6, 2021, resolution number 21-33XB, May 21, 2021, resolution number 21-186, August 18, 2021, resolution number 222, September 30th, 2021, and resolution number 21-223, September 30th, 2021. Certification.
Chairman Carl?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I hope everybody realize that what we're doing here is we're approving this resolution so that the will execute this resolution, and also we'll be coming back with an actual contract that spells out fines and that would be assessed by Golden West should they not have the proper documentation, easements, right of ways. So I make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve this resolution. But before I ask for the second, I just want everybody to know, this administration stood tough on Golden West, and our lawyers did an excellent job fighting Golden West to get to this, start at this point right here. So I want to commend Jennifer and Steve for the work that they did. And, I know it was tough going. Some of the times we didn't know if they were going to either just drop the ball and totally give us no service down here. But, today it looks like we win the battle, and I'm proud of that. Now we're going to win the war with the next part of that. Motion approved.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Chairman. Second by Councilman DeVoe. Any discussion on this? Seeing or hearing none, Secretary, will you call the roll, please? Just for clarification, which was talking to the Secretary, is there an agreement that was supposed to be attached to us? Do you know, Chairman? Or is this the
Agreement will be coming, negotiating.
okay, it's going to go back to, okay, it's going to go back to normal, so. Okay, that's fine.
Wesley Hawkins Senior. Cora Whitehorse.
Yes.
Lamb Jumping Eagle Senior. Gerald Canoyer Jr.
Yes.
Austin Watkins Senior. Tyler Yellowboy. Wendell Youngman Jr.
Yes.
Ron DeBrey. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.
Yes.
Julian Spotted Bear. Yes. Richard Ironclad. David Poyer.
Good.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Jackie Sears. Michael Carlos Sr. Bernardo Rodriguez Jr. Yes. Garfield Still. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Wesley Hawkins Sr.
Oh. Council almost passed the 6 yes, 3 no. Thank you, council. Chairman Carlo, you're, also, Chairman, do you want to do the coal legislation next? Because we're just trying to get all the items done. Because I know that we still have discussion items from the committee around solid waste and SB 85. So we just want to do the coal legislation and needs assessment.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read that resolution, Mr. Chairman. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe supporting the mandatory country of origin labeling M-School for beef as set forth in Senate Bill 2716, whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe organized under Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, by adopting a federally approved constitution and bylaws, and under Article 3 of the Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the tribe, and whereas when U.S. consumers choose to purchase an exclusively U.S. beef product, the demand for cattle exclusively born and raised in the United States increases, and whereas without M-Cool, multinational beef packers and other importers can manage the demand for cattle exclusively born and raised in the United States by offering consumers substitute beef products sourced from foreign sources without the consumer's knowledge. Whereas that in the situation in today's beef market, because the U.S. Department of Agriculture estimated in 2012 that 18% of the available beef in the U.S. market is sourced either as an imported beef product or from imported cattle converted to beef in U.S. packing plants. And whereas by requiring mandatory country of origin labeling MCOO as set forth in Section 2176, where beef, this will enable the United States cattle producers to compete in the retail grocery market by empowering customers to choose to purchase their superior born, raised, and harvested in the USA beef product, as opposed to purchasing a foreign beef product imported from any one of the approximately 20 countries from which the U.S. imports beef and farmed cattle. Whereas the OST Land and Natural Resource Committee does hereby state that it has wholeheartedly the American Beef Labeling Act of 2021, Section 2716, and encourages all U.S. senators and representatives to co-sponsor and quickly pass this measure so that U.S. consumers can begin purchasing their beef that is locally and national product produced. Whereas MCOO will help U.S. cattle producers more effectively compete in the domestic market with lower costs and undifferentiated imported beef products that currently function as direct substitutes for beef exclusively sourced from cattle born and raised in the United States. And whereas on January 24th, 2022, the Land and Natural Resource Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe did meet with the quorum present and did direct that this resolution be forwarded to the Tribal Council for their action. Now therefore be it resolved, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does hereby offer its full support on behalf of the mandatory country of origin labeling and coal legislation as set forth in Senate Bill 2716, Section 2176. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Oglala Sioux Tribe is directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the South Dakota senators and representatives and request their support in ensuring that Senate Bill Section 2176 becomes law. And if anybody wants to know what M-Cool or M-Cool means, that means Mike is cool. Motion to approve.
Okay, all right. Thank you, cool chairman, appreciate it. So, second by Councilman Rodriguez. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, Secretary, call the roll, please. Thank you.
Wesley Hawkins Sr.,
Yes.
Clara Whitehorse,
Yes.
Ryan Campanico Senior, Ryan Campanico Senior, George Canoyer Jr.,
Yes.
Austin Watkins Senior, Tyler Yellowboy, Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Rhonda Bray,
Oh.
Ella John Carlo,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Jillian Spotted Bear, yes. Richard Ironclad, David Puya,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Michael Carlo Senior,
Yes.
Leonardo Rodriguez Jr., Garfield Still, Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Council, that motion passes 6 yes, we're not voting, thank you, council. Chairman, do you want to do a needs assessment? Do you have a resolution for that? Yeah. Or, go ahead, Chairman.
Should I do the solid waste? It's just basically
Oh, do you-
a clerical room.
Yeah, do you have a resolution for that?
The resolution that we approved that was at the previous council meeting, let me see, the date was the 26th day of January. So when we approved, the resolution is number 2204. And this document that everyone got from solid waste was to be attached to that document. So now that we have that document, this document, we asked that the chairman do a cover letter and send us to the proper agencies so that maybe we could negotiate that IHS and the BIA fund solid waste hereafter.
Okay, so you need a motion to have us write a letter and then, okay, so motion made by Chairman Carlo to have my office send a letter to the proper agency that we work with on solid waste, second by Councilman Watkins.
She said this was supposed to be for overall.
Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none or seeing none? Secretary, will you call the roll, please? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, it's been brought to my attention too by members of my committee that we're missing a few items, especially the front page. It's not complete. So I guess the best scenario to do is to table this and bring it back on Friday with the total revised budget. I hate to send something that is not complete.
Okay, Chairman, what you can do is just withdraw the motion and then just refer to Friday. That's okay.
So moved.
Okay, so Chairman will withdraw his motion and I'll move this issue to Friday. It's for the proper information. So, Chairman, your next item, I think it's needs assessment for Minnie Wachoni.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In our committee, the biggest problem that everybody knows we had was throughout the summer months when the majority of our pumping stations, because of the age to them, once they went down, we didn't have the capabilities to pump water to different areas of the reservation. And so what we're doing here in this resolution is trying to make sure that under the Minnie Wachoni Act, infrastructure any type of federal funds that are out there that, you know, we need to upgrade not only our pipe in different areas, but all of our pumping stations, wells, etc. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe to appoint 2 committees to be responsible for developing and completing a new assessment for the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system, and 4, it should be applying for infrastructure and our other federal funds based on the new needs assessment. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted a constitution and bylaws by referendum vote by December 14, 1935, pursuant to Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 48 Stat 986, now codified as 25 USC subsection 5123, and whereas under Article 3, Section 1 of the Tribal Constitution, Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the tribe, and whereas the Tribal Council, pursuant to its constitutional authority, approved the development and passage of the Mini-Wachoni Act of 1988, Public Law 100-516, 102 Statute 2566, as amended in 1994, 108 Statute 4526, which enabled the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system, whereas Section 3A of the Mini-Wachoni authorization and directed the Secretary of Interior to plan, design, construct, operate, maintain, and replace a municipal, rural, and industrial water system to be known as the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system, as generally described in the report entitled 1988 Planning Report and Environmental Assessment and dated February 1988, and whereas Section 3, subsection B and 1 or F of the Mini-Wachoni Act provides that in carry out subsection A, the Secretary, with the concurrence of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, shall enter into agreements with appropriate non-federal entities or entities for the planning, design, construction, operation, maintenance, and replacing the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system, and the Oglala Sioux Tribe subsequently contracted with the Secretary of the non-federal entity to perform such functions, and whereas Section 3, subsection F of the Mini-Wachoni Act provides as follows. Number F, limitation of availability of construction funds. The Secretary shall not obligate funds for the construction of the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system until 1, requirement of the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969 have been met, and 2, a final engineering report has been prepared and submitted to Congress for a period of not less than 90 days, and whereas the final engineering report developed by the Morrison Marley engineering firm of Billings, Montana, projected the rural water needs of the Oglala Sioux Tribe up to the year 2020. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council has determined that a new needs assessment for the Oglala Sioux rural water supply system must be completed to determine the tribe's rural water needs up to the year 2040, and to include in such needs assessment, A, an assessment of the rural water supply system core pipeline, and B, an assessment of the reservation water delivery system. And whereas Congress passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill on August 10th, 2021, which $550 billion in new spending, in which $55 billion is allocated to drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure funding that includes Indian tribes, and the legislation will also specify invest in water infrastructure by eliminating lead service pipes, especially in Native nations and other disadvantaged communities which are impacted the most. And whereas the Tribal Council believes that the best approach is completing a new assessment for the Oglala Sioux water supply system. Two is to appoint two committees to coordinate with each other to complete a new needs assessment that can be funded with infrastructure funds and or from other federal appropriations under the Mini-Wachoni Act. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individuals are hereby appointed to develop and complete a new assessment and to apply for infrastructure funds based on such needs. Needs Assessment Committee, Craig Nowak, President Kevin Keller, Mike Carlo, Land Committee, Ron Blacksmith, Rural Water, Chuck Jacobs, Rural Water, Russell Zephyr, Tribal Attorney, Maria Gonzalez, Tribal Attorney, Infrastructure Funds Committee, President Kevin Keller, Mike Carlo, Councilman, Jennifer Hughes, Attorney, Steve Gunn, Attorney, Russell Zephyr, Attorney, Maria Gonzalez, Attorney. And be it further resolved that Chuck Jacobs will serve as the coordinator for the Needs Assessment Committee and Jennifer Hughes shall serve as coordinator for the Infrastructure Funds Committee certification. And I hope Jennifer and Steve are aware of what we did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And clarification, Chairman. So on the fifth whereas, there's on the subsection, on the first sentence, it says the secretary. Do you know which secretary that is? Is it interior or whatever one BOR is under?
I believe it should be Secretary of Interior, right? I think so. The mayor attorney provide that and carry notice.
So whatever BOR is, BOR under interior, do you know?
Maybe we could have Mario, since he wrote this, clarify that.
Okay, we can get that answered. But just that note. So we'll add this for the records to make sure we got that. Okay, so we'll clarify. So is there a motion made by Chairman, second by Councilman DeBrey. Any discussion on this? Sure, we're seeing none. Secretary, call that please. Thank you.
Wesley Hopkins Senior,
Oh.
Cora Whitehorse, Ryan Jumping Eagle Senior, Joe Canoyer Jr.,
Yes.
Austin Watkins Senior,
Oh.
Tyler Yellowboy, Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Ron DeBrey,
Oh.
Ella Giancarlo,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Julian Spotted Bear, yes. Richard Ironclad, Lear,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh?
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Michael Carlo Senior,
Yes.
Leonardo Rodriguez Jr., Garfield Still, Dylan,
Yes.
Cora, would you like to vote?
What was the motion?
It was a resolution that was read by Mike Carlo on real water.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Council, I passed 16 yes, 2 not voting. Thank you, Council. Chairman, do you have another item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, the last 2/3 item that I got on today was Senate Bill 85. But if we're meeting Friday, I had Mr. Red Cloud come out here. We were gonna give a presentation, but I think what I request of him now is see if he can talk to our attorneys, Steve Gunn and Jennifer, and maybe put together letter, of, I guess, our position for Friday's council meeting, which would give everybody here the opportunity to read and determine how the tribe's position will be on Senate Bill 85. So I'll have Mr. Red Cloud do that for Friday.
Do you want to talk, Reno? Okay, just come up here. Good afternoon, council. I just wanted today to do an informational, just real quick. I do have some handouts. I think, Ed, if you could help me with the handouts. It's just real quick, but I wanted to look at this issue with South Dakota 85. It's the West Dakota Water Project bill. It was planned to go in front of the state this morning. And I got emails this morning. These are part of the handouts that I'm sending out to you guys. And this morning, as the water administration for the tribe, you can see on one of my handouts is the mission statement for the Natural Resource Regulatory Agency and the Water Resource Department. The mission of the Natural Resource Regulatory Agency by the council is to provide guidance and technical assistance in the assertion of treaty and reserved water rights with regards to compliance with tribal law and protection, conservation, management, and preservation of diversity and productivity of the Oglala Sioux tribe through natural and water resources to meet the needs of present and future generations. You know, just with that statement there, that pretty well addresses the issue that I have today. I do have a copy of the water code, which was revised from 1985 to 2015. This water code was revised because of the Mini-Wachoni water project. And yet we're here today to discuss present day issues. And one of them is this House Bill 85. This morning I was confused because I didn't really know our position. I didn't know what the position of the Water Resource Department was, so I inquired to Mike Carlo and Mario Gonzalez, and I talked with Kevin this morning too. That I'm glad I had a good conversation with the president because I got clarification that the tribe did a resolution September 30th, 2021 to put 2 tribal members on the board for the West Dakota Water Project. And at that time, I wasn't part of the informational process with their representatives, Ms. Cheryl Chapman, and then the other ones that came down here and they talked with certain people, but I wasn't given the opportunity to express myself. And most of my concerns are in violation of our treaties and our water rights through our water code. We have the water code for the reservation, but you got the treaties for the 1851, 1868 water rights too. So my recommendation is just going to be like what Mike said: is OST needs to review this South Dakota Bill 85 more in depth. And I know that the West Dakota Water Project, they did their studies for them to propose this project to the state. So now it's our turn as the tribes to come together and do our research. And that's through our treaty water rights. That's where our position is going to come in. And then that's with us working with the other Oceti Shaku tribes too. But to this moment, I was confused on where our position is because of this 21-225 resolution being passed to put board members on West Dakota. So I'm going to look at the opportunity of us reviewing this more in depth because we can't diminish our water rights to a state water project. And give us
time to do a strategic plan for the OST and to have meetings with the other Ochechi Shakuri tribes.
President, so, before we state our position, it might be better to do this in executive on Friday. So just give an informational brief.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then, yeah.
Oh, okay, just to cut it down short, I just want us to review more in depth this, West Dakota water project issue, okay? And then I'm glad what Kevin said, the position that we have now is neutral, because right now, this project's still in its infancy. It's still, right now, we're going to the state legislation to request 10 million for a feasibility study. But then that'll give us time to do our strategic and preserve and protect our water rights too. So this will be coming, we'll do recommendations on this, we'll be taking them to the land committee, and we'll be forwarding them on to the council, okay? Yeah. So it's giving us our time to do our strategic planning too. But that's all I really had to say. Thank you.
All right, and then, you know, like what we can do on Friday, this Friday, is we can bring this back in executive session, so that way we can talk about the overall Sioux Tribe strategy, and then that way we can state a position on, you know, on the bill and stuff like that. So I think I know the position, but we don't want to expose ourselves, especially on the legal aspect, because people listen to our broadcast, even in Peer and stuff, so.
Okay, thank you. That sounds like a great idea, and we'll move forward with this, with our own strategic planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Reno, appreciate it. Chairman, I think that's it for land committee. So, EB&D, so we're trying to get this done, so we gotta try to get through all we can till 5:30, and then we'll adjourn there. EB&D, Chairman Dreamer or Vice Chair Youngman, I'm not sure.
Sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Since Windows there, he could read off the items.
Sure. I think there's only two items. One's on cannabis testing, I believe. That's the first item. And the second one is adding Councilman DeBrey to the committee. So those are the only two that I know. So, Vice Chairman, do you want to read those two?
Yes, thank you. Ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe to amend the Oglala Sioux Tribe Marijuana Control Ordinance to authorize temporarily transporting and testing of cannabis product by testing lab located outside of tribal land. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935 in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, codified as amended at 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123. Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas, pursuant to the Constitution and bylaws of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council exercises legislative powers to enact and promulgate resolutions and ordinance. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F, 1K, 1N, and 1W empower the Tribal Council to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of the persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas the Tribal Council enacted ordinance number 16-22, amending the criminal code to allow for enhanced penalties for dangerous drug offenses on August 23rd, 2018, and further amended by Tribal Council ordinance. And whereas a referendum vote was held on March 10th, 2020, and the Oglala Oyape voted in favor of the tribe adopting laws to decriminalize recreational marijuana and to approve of the use of medical marijuana. And whereas the Tribal Council enacted ordinance number 20-66 adopting the Marijuana Control Ordinance. And whereas the Marijuana Control Ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 3B, directs that any marijuana processed and each marijuana product may be tested by the Marijuana Commission for the safety and quality assurance, including but not limited to potency testing, residual solvents testing, microbial testing, aflatoxin testing, pesticide testing, and heavy metal testing. And whereas presently there is no tribal licensed testing facility located on tribal land for purposes of conducting testing as contemplated by the Marijuana Control Ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 3B, and such session facility is not anticipated for approximately 6 to 12 months. And whereas the Marijuana Control Ordinance, Chapter 6, Section 3, prohibits the delivery or transportation of marijuana or marijuana products beyond the exterior boundaries of the reservation. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee and the Marijuana Commission met on January 21st, 2022, and recommend that a testing lab located outside of tribal land be authorized temporarily to transport and test any marijuana processed and marijuana product as directed by the Marijuana Control Commission, and pursuant to tribal licensing requirements set forth in the ordinance. And whereas the Tribal Council finds that adoption of the proposed amendments to the Marijuana Control Ordinance is in the best interest of the tribe and its members. Now therefore be it ordained that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby amends Chapter 6, Section 3 of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Marijuana Control Ordinance, Ordinance number 20-66, October 27, 2020, to read as follows, with additions underlined and in bold. Section 3, transporting outside of the reservation. Delivery or transportation of the marijuana or marijuana products beyond the exterior boundaries of the reservation is prohibited, except that, as directed by the Marijuana Commission, transportation of marijuana processed and marijuana product by a testing lab located outside of tribal land, and pursuant to tribal licensing requirements may temporarily be authorized for purposes of testing as contemplated under the Marijuana Control Ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 3B. Be it finally ordained that the foregoing amendment to the Marijuana Control Ordinance shall go into effect immediately. Certification, motion.
There's a motion made, seconded by Councilman Watkins, Councilman Rodriguez. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, Secretary, we call the roll, please. Thank you.
Wesley Hopkins Sr.
Oh.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Joe Canoyer Jr. Austin Watkins Sr. Tyler Yellowboy. Wendell Youngman Jr.
Yes.
Ron DeBrey. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.
Yes.
William Spotted Bear. Yes. David Poyer.
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Oh, not voting.
Jackie Sears. Jackie Sears. Michael Carlo Sr. Yes. Bernardo Rodriguez Jr. Yes. Garfield Steele. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Council, motion passes 14 yes, 3 not voting. Thank you, Council. Vice Chair, your next item.
Okay, and after much debate and many table sessions, this one finally made it to council. So, resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Council adding Ron DeBrey to the Economic and Business Development Committee. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe was organized under Section 16 of the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act by adopting a federally approved constitution and bylaws. And whereas the Tribal Council conducts business using a variety of standing committees for which members are normally selected at the beginning of the term of government. And whereas since the committee rosters are made, Mr. Ron DeBrey, Pasco District, has decided to serve on the Economic Business Development Committee. And whereas on the 21st day of January, the Economic and Business Development Committee met in a regular meeting with the quorum present and voted to approve this resolution and forward to the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council has considered the matter and desires to take the recommended action. Now therefore be it resolved, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby adds Mr. Ron DeBrey to membership of the Economic and Business Development Committee. Certification, motion.
A motion made, seconded by Councilwoman Spotted Bear and Councilman Rodriguez. Any discussion on this? If this approves, I expect to hear some Keisha's, so, okay, having been said that, Secretary, you want to call the roll, please? Thank you.
Wesley Hawkins Senior,
Yes.
Paul Whitehorse,
Yes.
Jared Canoyer Jr.,
Yes.
Austin Watkins Senior, Tyler Yellowboy,
Yes.
Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Ron DeBrey, Ella Giancarlo,
Yes.
George Deemer Jr.,
Yes.
Jillian Spotted Bear, yes. David Poyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Sonia, yep.
Yes. Huh.
Jackie Sears,
Sorry, I missed the motion. What was it?
to add Ron DeBrey to the ENBD committee resolution.
Uh-huh.
Michael Carlo Senior,
We'll need more time to review before I can make my, yes.
Leonardo Rodriguez Jr., Garfield Still, Craig Dillon,
No. Yes. Council, motion passes 15 yes, 2 not voting. Thank you, council. There's Keisha. Okay, so even if President.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So if you ever need an emergency council meeting, just come to EB&D because we do not have 20 members.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair, appreciate it. So we'll move on to finance. We're trying to work till 5:30, so we'll try to get through what we can. Vice Chair or Chairwoman Whitehorse, do you want to present your items?
Go ahead, Tyler. I'm driving.
Thanks. Vice Chair, do you want to present the first item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll try to go as fast as I can with finance. So resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the offer and expenditure of $25,000 as a reward for finding Cheryl T. a long soldier. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe organized under Section 16 of the Tribal Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, by adopting a federally approved constitution and bylaws under Article 3 of the Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the tribe. And whereas Article 4, Sections 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W empower the Tribal Council to manage the economic affairs and enterprises of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas Cheryl T. a long soldier has been missing since January 3rd, 2022, and for more information, more information is greatly needed to find her. And whereas both the Law and Order Committee and Finance Committee have reviewed the request for $25,000 reward to help with the search efforts and recommends approval to the Tribal Council with the reward to be paid from the tribe's general fund. And whereas the payout of reward money will require that the information provided must directly lead to or be the cause for finding Cheryl T. a long soldier. Whereas the reward money will be paid to the person who finds or causes her to be found from the information provided, or if multiple persons simultaneously find or directly cause her to be found, then the reward money shall be divided amongst them in a fair manner by the President of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does hereby approve the expenditure of $25,000 for the reward money for finding Cheryl T. Long Soldier, which shall be paid from the OST General Fund. And be it further resolved that the payment of the reward money will require that the information provided must directly lead to or be the cause for finding Cheryl T. Long Soldier, and be paid to the person who finds or provides the information that directly causes her to be found. Or if there should be multiple persons who simultaneously find or provide that direct information causing her to be found, then the reward money shall be divided amongst them in a fair manner. And be it further resolved that the payment of the reward money shall be made by the president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Motion.
Second. Motion made, seconded by Councilman Canoyer Jr. Any discussion on this? Oh, sorry, Councilman Youngman made that motion, sorry. Any discussion on this? Hearing or seeing none? Is there, can you call the roll, please? Thank you.
Wesley Hawkins Senior,
Hoorah!
Paul Whitehorse,
Yes.
Garrett Canoyer Jr. Yes. Austin Watkins Senior, Tyler Yellowboy,
Yes.
Wendell Youngman Jr.,
Yes.
Ron DeBrey,
Oh.
Ella Giancarlo, George Dreamer Jr., George Dreamer Jr., Julian Spotted Bear, David Poyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Ah,
Jackie Sears,
oh,
Michael Carlos Sr., Bernardo Rodriguez Jr., Garfield Still, Craig Dillon,
Council, motion passes 13 yes and for not voting. Thank you, Council. Vice Chair, next time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.